I talk a lot about 2000s emo and pop punk, and I'm pretty sure you guys are getting sick of it. Sure, the 2000s was the best decade for both of these genres, with several highly influential bands making it into the mainstream. You had the rise of future legends like My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and Paramore. It was truly the height of the genre. But I think something also has to be said for the 2010s.
You weren't the only one who thought of us that way.
I mean, yeah, emo wasn't as big as the prior decade, with most bands going back underground. But we saw some pretty important bands come from that era. Tiger's Jaw, Modern Baseball, Hot Mulligan. These bands are staples on any emo playlist on Spotify. Don't believe me? Go check. I'll wait. But there were also bands that got overlooked. Bands that influenced the bands that got really big. No one remembers these bands. No one...
except me.
Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Trevor and I am eternally uncool. I make videos about music, music culture, and anything that interests me. But mostly music right now. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and watching the rest of this video. I was in high school and college in the 2010s. I was also quite sad and introspective.
So I was in the right demographic for emo.
I'd gotten into the classics from the 2000s. My favorite band was My Chemical Romance. Still is. I wrote Fall Out Boy-esque lyrics in my notebooks. And I tried singing like Brendan Urie. Didn't work.
That's good!
But the 2010s brought with it a style of emo that I had never really gotten into before. It was the more raw, DIY, Midwest sound. Bands like Modern Baseball and Tiger's Jaw were hearkening back to the bands of the 90s. And that sound caught my attention immediately. I was into all the revival bands. From The World is a Beautiful Place to The Front Bottoms to Free Throw. And I was into the bands that only the most devoted of emo listeners knew about. Those are the bands I want to talk about today. What I have today is a handful of underrated 2010s emo bands. They might not be forgotten per se. That's why I didn't call this a truly forgotten bands of 2010s video. But they definitely deserve more love. So with all that being said, grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's get into the video.
Apologies for the banter.
When I was in high school, I was just getting into real emo. I don't care what is and what isn't considered emo today. I just really listen to what I like and don't give a fuck about what other people think. But back then, I wanted to know what the real shit was all about. So I discovered classics like Rites of Spring and Jawbreaker, but also newer bands like Snowing and Camping in Alaska. I loved these later bands. I wanted to discover more like them, which led me to finding High Tide Hotel. High Tide Hotel was an emo band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, formed in the late 2000s. They're similar to bands like Snowing with their mathy instrumentals and raw, screaming vocals. I remember the first time I heard this band. I think I was a sophomore in high school. I was in our shitty little gymnasium/cafeteria waiting to get into homeroom because for some reason when we went to school they had to corral us all into the same area before we could go to homeroom. I had my Skull Candy earbuds plugged in because every just sad emo teenager in the 2010s and 2000s used Skull Candy. But I had them plugged into my ancient iPhone and I was just listening to music on YouTube. This was back when you could close the app and the music would still be playing. YouTube, fix your shit.
What the hell are you talking about?
I was listening to whatever emo I could find, and I think I saw the thumbnail for a song off of the High Tide Hotel album, Nothing Was Missing Except Me. And for some reason, it just drew me in. So I clicked it and
everything changed.
I had always enjoyed High Tide Hotel since I discovered them that fateful day. They had a sound that just always felt like emo to me. That mix of American football style, instrumentation, and just the passionate vocals. They might not have been one of the bands that I listened to the most, but they're always one that I come back to. One I always find myself thinking about. High Tide Hotel doesn't get talked about as much as Snowing or Camping in Alaska, who are seen as some of the progenitors of the 2010s emo revival, but I think they should be. If you enjoy just high quality emo, then I recommend checking out High Tide Hotel. At one point in college, I got really into spoken word poetry.
Yelling, angry, waving my hands a lot.
I had always been into poetry in general, but something about spoken word just really hit me.
The cat sat on the mat.
I even performed one of my spoken word poems at an open mic that my college put on. Was it good? Probably not. It was probably something really cringy and emo that I wrote while half drunk. But my love for spoken word hasn't gone away. And one of the bands I have to thank for that is Being as an Ocean.
I'm trying my best to be a better man. Despite all my fears, I really am.
Being as an Ocean formed in 2011 in Alpine, California, and were originally a Christian hardcore band. Eventually, they would change up their sound and move away from like metal influences and more into something like post-hardcore. They took influence from similar bands like La Dispute and Touche Amore.
You say love's a funny thing. The way it lingers in the mind. No matter what you do, or the passing of time.
Being as an Ocean was never as big as La Dispute or Touche Amore or Pianos Become the Teeth. They were just one of the many other post-hardcore spoken word type bands that I listened to in the 2010s. But I think they're one that should be looked at more, because they had some really intense and heartbreaking songs that were also really fucking heavy. If you like post-hardcore with heavy emo lyrics that touch on themes like religion, then I highly recommend checking out Being as an Ocean. There was an abundance of post-hardcore bands in the 2000s, the 2010s, and today, really. But most of the ones that get attention are bands like Bring Me the Horizon and Bad Omens. Bands that incorporate elements of pop or R&B or radio rock into their sound. And that's fine. I enjoy these bands quite a bit. But I think something needs to be said for the post-hardcore bands that incorporated more punk elements into their sound. Specifically, the earnest brand of punk, which I don't think gets enough credit. One of the bands that I think fits this mold is Make Do and Mend.
And we tore these days undone, where the bastard sons will squander every mile they let us run.
Make Do and Mend were formed in West Hartford, Massachusetts in 2003. They took a lot of influence from bands like Hot Water Music, Jimmy Eat World, and Foo Fighters. And their sound is a pretty good amalgamation of all three of those kinds of bands. Very earnest lyrics with a raw punk sound and a little bit of heaviness. You know, I don't remember how I got into Make, Do, and Mend. I think I had them recommended to me by a cashier at Hot Topic. Why they recommended them to me, I don't know. I think they just saw a scrawny kid in a Green Day t-shirt and just thought,
He needs it.
but I remember enjoying what I heard. If you enjoy earnest, punk-influenced post-hardcore, then I really suggest looking in to Make, Do, and Mend.
It never hurts so much just to think of all the times we had.
So this final entry doesn't have a lot of information on them, and I'm sure nobody but me remembers them. But this is my video on my YouTube channel, and I'll talk about what I want.
Whoa, just take it easy, man.
One of the channels I used to use to discover emo bands that I had never heard of was a channel called Chillwave. I say used to as if they're not still uploading videos. Chillwave still exists and they're still posting quality, obscure emo bands. I highly recommend checking them out. But I used to click on any and every video that they would post, in the hopes of finding new or overlooked emo acts. And the one I remember most fondly is a band called Deerfield.
And where does the sun go as it falls beneath the sea? Where does the sun go as it crawls away from me?
I can't find anything on this fucking band online. The only thing that comes up when I type in Deerfield on Instagram is the account for Deerfield Country Club in Newark, which, fun fact, I used to be a dishwasher at.
Who cares?
But nothing on this band. The link to their Facebook on their Bandcamp comes up with a 404 error page. The only thing I could find via Chillwave is that they're from Syracuse, New York, and the lineup. Other than that, nothing.
Fucking nothing.
Potential is all ever need. Waste your opportunities on me.
But before they ceased to exist, they released one really great EP, 2018's Nostalgia.
It never hurts so much just to think of all the times we had.
I really want to find this band. I remember hearing this EP in 2018 and just really loving it. But if you were in Deerfield and you're seeing this video, hit me up. But if you weren't in Deerfield and you like high quality emo, then I highly recommend checking them out. They're a really good band and I wish they had made more stuff. Do you know any of these bands? What are some other underrated bands from the 2010s that you would recommend? Let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then I highly recommend smashing that like button and sharing this video with everyone you know. I'm a small, independent content creator who does everything on his own. And I'm really trying to grow this channel. So every like, every comment, every share, any interaction with this video or any of my other videos really helps me out a lot. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. If I can do that, then I will do a whole video reacting to my old, pre-eternally uncool YouTube videos, most of which are private because they're cringy, and I do not like them. So if you want to see any of those, then tell a friend to subscribe. I'm also trying to grow my Instagram, so if you want to follow me there, you can. But with all that being said, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Trevor. Stay uncool. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye.